In this video, I'm going to walk through how I flip comic books for money. This is my actual mycomicshop.com account. We can see here I've got 137 items currently available. I have one item in auction, and I have one item that's been sold but not shipped yet. If I look at sales all time, I've been paid over 100,000 US dollars. Now that's not profit, but it is certainly flipping for profit. And I'm going to share with you 3 methods that you can use to flip comic books. Let's jump in. Okay, so the first method is to buy a huge comic book collection and then either get comic book slabbed, or you might have slabs that are already included in the comic book. Now, what I mean by slabs, here's a great example. This is Aliens #1. So this is signed by Sigourney Weaver. This is a CGC Signature Series book. I sold this for $999 US dollars. This was back in 2023. So I paid about $14,000 for a huge comic book collection. And then inside that collection, I then parsed off higher end books and I sold them to recoup my money. Here's another book from that collection. This is Thor number 126. This is the iconic cover, Jack Kirby cover, Thor versus Hercules. I sold this one for $945 US. Now there was a whole bunch of CGCs and there were thousands of raw books. And that leads me to my second way that you can flip comics. Purchase individual books and then get those books slabbed. So I did this with Thor #1. I bought about 50 copies of this book here, Thor #1. I went all in on it. And as it was creeping up in value, I figured Marvel was probably going to have a movie with Jane Foster. And so I wound up purchasing a lot of raw copies and then selling them. Now you'll see back in 2016, this book went for $52, which back in the day, I was pocketing about 20 or 25 US dollars per book, which sounds like a lot. We can see here a few years later, this one was sold in 2020, and this sold for 100 US dollars. Nowadays, these books are going from anywhere from 60 all the way up to $350. So look at the price discrepancy here. This is a CGC 9.8 for 60. This is a CGC 9.8 for 350. These were probably listed back in the day when the movie was happening, and somebody's continually dropping the price. If you're trying to sell something and you're not sure how much it's going to go for, if you see an auction item like this, you can click on it. And then inside the listing of the auction item, you can see sales data if it exists. So for a very popular book like this, I'm going to click sales data. We're going to see a lot. And we can see if I go back in time to 2020, we can see a lot of the books sold for around 100 to almost 200 US dollars. Then in 2021, things were really heating up because the movie was coming out soon. And then you'll notice after the movie, it dropped right off. As we look now to 2025, we'll see that 9.8s are selling for 50, 60, sometimes even 40 or even $30 if it's not a 9.8. So just be aware, these are not necessarily long-term investments. This was one that I knew was going to be trendy, but I did flip a whole bunch of copies, about 50 of them, and I made some pretty good money over the years. This was another one that I did almost at the same time. This is the all-new Wolverine. This is the female Wolverine that popped up. This is from about 2016 was when this comic book came out. And you'll see I've got a whole bunch of all-new Wolverines that I sold over the years. I bought all these at cost. They were about $4 or $5 each. Then you pay about $20 to get them CGC'd. So you're in about $25 on cost. But then I was selling them for anywhere from $60, $70, $80, sometimes even $125. One of my most fun flips happened with Thanos #13. I bought this lenticular cover and I bought about 10 of them and I shipped them all off to CGC, and a whole bunch came back 9.9, which I'd never really seen before. I mean, I've seen them online, but never in person. And we can see here on my sales report, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 that I sold on my comic shop. I also sold a few on eBay as well. So this was a really fun flip. I paid about $5 US for all of these, and then I wound up flipping them for anywhere from 70 up through 175 US dollars. The third way you can flip books is to simply purchase them directly from mycomicshop.com. Don't get them shipped and just get them relisted at a higher price. So I'm going to show you some examples of this. So I bought this one. This is the first appearance of Electro. This is Amazing Spider-Man #9. Awesome Steve Ditko cover. And I bought this for $505 in auction back in 2017. I then just turned around and listed it again. I did not get the comic shipped to my house. and I sold it for $610. So there's a little bit of a profit there. I bought it for $505. I listed it for $610. There's about a 3% fee that I paid, and I pocketed the rest. Here's another one. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 50. This is the iconic cover Spider-Man No More. I purchased this for $1,295, and then I just turned around and listed it again, and I sold it a few months later for $1,710. So what I do is I look through what's available for sale and I price it out against what's on eBay or other areas. And I found that this one was just listed and it was under market. So you can go up to the top of the screen and you can click on new items and you can scroll through. And if somebody lists something that's new, it might be undervalued and you can get a quick sale, simply relist it. In this case, I pocketed about $400, $500 US. This one here is the very first Avengers comic from 1963. Beautiful Jack Kirby cover. I purchased it for $1,750. I then just relisted it, never got it shipped to my house, and I sold it a couple months later for $2,080, netted a couple $100. Not bad for just sitting here watching Monday Night Football and listing comics for sale. This is another one here. This is the first appearance of the Justice League of America. It's Brave and the Bold number 28. And I bought this in auction for $1,702. Some of the higher end books like this, and what I mean by higher end is that they're over $1,000 US, you start to get illiquid price points, meaning you can get some deals because not everybody has this type of cash to outlay on a comic book. So here I found a screaming deal, $1,702. I then listed it and sold it shortly thereafter for $2,120. Again, lop off about 3% for your fees and you can pocket the rest as profit. Here's another one. This is probably my scariest one. I bought this in auction for $2,125, and I love this cover. I've always wanted to own it. It was a high-end book. White pages often commands a premium, but that's a lot of money, right? $2,000 for a comic book, right? $2,000 US. So I listed it, and about 6 weeks later, I sold it for $2,750. So I thought I'd be holding on to this for a while, but somebody wound up buying this one because I'm guessing because it was a white pages book, because there was others sitting there that were similarly graded, but they were off-white. So if you can find a white page book, sometimes that'll get you a quick sale as well. Hope you found that helpful. I love talking comics. I'll take your questions, comments. Let me know down in the comments section below. Thanks a lot for watching.